Are billionaires getting richer during the pandemic? Yup. But is that the whole story? Nope. What's going on, guys? JP here with another Biz Rich video. If you've seen the headlines, you're aware that while the majority of people have been locked up in quarantine, losing their jobs, and applying for government aid, billionaires have been getting significantly richer during this coronavirus pandemic. And while there may be some truth to these headlines, they are not presenting the entire story. So let's dive into it and get the whole story of billionaires getting richer during the pandemic. Before getting into the information behind these news articles and billionaires getting richer during COVID, I want to clarify a few things about billionaires' wealth. Many of these articles are citing numbers based on net worth claims, which for the majority of billionaires we will be talking about is highly dependent on the share price of the stock that makes up the bulk of their net worth. Meaning, if a company's stock sees significant gains, the net worth of the individual that holds a substantial amount of shares of the company's stock will also see substantial gains, and therefore are getting significantly richer. The reason this is important is because the majority of billionaires we are going to be talking about today are highly invested in a single company whose stock saw substantial gains during the pandemic. Now that we have that out of the way, let's dive into the actual articles and the information behind them. The most important thing I want to note here is that the majority of these articles are citing a single study done by the Americans for Tax Fairness and Institute for Policy Studies. Why does this matter? When you have an organization with an underlying cause and they release a report, it is likely that the information has been tailored to align with the organization's goals. So, what is this organization's mission or goal? According to the report, the Institute for Policy Studies program on inequality and the common good was founded in 2006 to draw attention to the growing dangers of concentrated wealth and power, and to advocate policies and practices to reverse extreme inequalities in income, wealth, and opportunity. Simply put, this organization's goal is to make billionaires out to be the bad guys, and to make it seem while we're all suffering, they are profiting. This is shown by their call to establish a pandemic profiteering oversight committee and levy an emergency 10% millionaire income surtax, among other things. Now, I do feel that some of the information is presented fairly. All I am saying is that the information and how it is presented should be taken with a grain of salt, since the Institute does have an underlying agenda. Another issue with the claims made in this report and many of the news articles is that they are based on a wealth analysis done by Forbes, which calculated wealth as of March 18th. Why is that a problem? Because March 18th wasn't the beginning of the pandemic, and it was also a low point for the overall market and many stock prices. Therefore, gains in net worth from this point do not accurately represent billionaires getting richer during the COVID-19 pandemic. Since Jeff Bezos was one of the billionaires talked about in nearly all the articles, we will examine Amazon's stock price to illustrate these points and see just how much richer Jeff Bezos got during the pandemic. Looking at Amazon stock, we can see that March 18th was near its low for the year to date. We can also look at the NASDAQ and S&P 500 to get an idea of the overall market. And March 18th was definitely a time of concern and uncertainty in the overall market, and therefore not a great time to calculate someone's net worth. This MarketWatch article takes this into consideration and decides to calculate Jeff Bezos' net worth from February 19th, which is when evidence suggests that the overall market began to react to the coronavirus. So now that we have a little more accurate of a starting date, how much richer did Jeff Bezos get? According to MarketWatch, he added an incredible $13.5 billion to his net worth from February 19th to May 19th. Damn! This makes sense though, since the majority of us were relying solely on Amazon to purchase goods, whether it was to avoid exposure to COVID or because your favorite retailer was actually closed. In the first quarter of this year, Amazon's revenue was $75.5 billion, which is up $15.8 billion from the first quarter of last year. This is also about $2 billion more than the analysts expected Amazon earnings of $73.61 billion. Clearly outperforming analysts' expectations, and during a pandemic, made for a hefty boost to Jeff Bezos' net worth. But that's not the entire story. Amazon actually saw a decrease in profitability due to the costly COVID measures that Amazon had to take to ensure workers' health and safety. But I believe due to the market's view of these costs being temporary and there being a high chance that online consumption will remain elevated even after the pandemic, Jeff Bezos' net worth gains are here to stay, at least for now. Some other billionaires that had a similar experience during the pandemic were the Waltons, which own about 50% of Walmart's shares. As we all saw, Walmart was one of the few retailers and grocery stores that remained open during the entire pandemic. We also saw a substantial increase in purchases of grocery and other items. This resulted in these three Waltons making about $3 billion each during the pandemic. In addition to the increase in grocery consumption, we also saw a significant increase in online communication. One company I'm thinking of in particular is Zoom. Some of us had used Zoom prior to the pandemic, but in no way did they have the usage that they have today. Let's schedule a Zoom meeting seems to be the norm now. According to an article by The Verge, Zoom saw an increase of 10 million daily meeting participants to 300 million. This resulted in Zoom's founder, Eric Yuan's net worth to increase an incredible $4 million over the last 3 months. Not bad for a guy who wanted to create an easy way for him to talk to his long-distance girlfriend. Another billionaire that has been talked about in many recent articles is Elon Musk. Many news outlets, including this CNBC article, claim that Elon Musk's net worth actually increased 48%. On the other hand, this MarketWatch article, which is based on data from February 19th to May 19th, shows that Elon Musk's net worth is actually down $26 billion. This is even with Tesla's temporary pivot to making the much-needed ventilators during the pandemic's shortage. As of the past few days, Tesla's stock is actually trading above 900, which means Elon Musk's net worth is about the same as it was February 19th. Overall, there has been some billionaires who have experienced incredible increases in wealth throughout the pandemic, but in no way is that the norm. In Forbes' 34th annual list of global billionaires, they reported that 58 individuals actually lost their billionaire status, and that combined, the global billionaires class net worth decreased from $8.7 trillion to just $8 trillion. That's a loss of $700 billion in just about 3 months. So don't believe all the headlines and articles you're reading, and make sure to give your billionaire friend a hug, because chances are they've had a rough year. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video to help it get shown to more people, and let me know in the comments how your billionaire friends are holding up. Also, let me know what business or money related topic you want to know more about, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Thanks, and see you next time.